Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kieran Stover. I am joined here by my two good friends, Tommy Capozzi and Jared Spack. And welcome back to our show. Anyways, we wanted to come on here today to talk about a brand new software that has just been released. Or it was released a few months ago by a company called OpenAI, and it's called ChatGPT. Now, this was written by ChatGPT, but ChatGPT claims that it is a cutting-edge language model developed by OpenAI and is making headlines for its ability to generate human-like text. But it's not just for writing. This technology is also being used in a variety of industries, including education. Now, gentlemen, ChatGPT, AI, what's going on here? What are our reactions? I mean, all of us have used it here. We'll start with Tommy. What were your initial reactions when ChatGPT was released?
Well, I'm going to be honest. The first time I saw it, I was surprised because I was like, I thought this wouldn't happen for like another 10 years. But then I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a try, right? So I go on and I ask it a couple questions, like basic things, like how do I do this math problem, and it does it perfectly, and I'm like, oh. Okay, well, and then before I know it, especially on Twitter and social media, the entire world's talking about it, and it's alarming at how crazy it just exploded in popularity.
Yeah, I heard it had like 1 million views in like 5 days.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the first person who introduced it to me because I
Yeah.
saw you kind of playing around with it. Tell me, what were your reactions when you first kind of saw it? Like, why were you so fascinated by it?
The first, I've always been interested in technology and stuff like that, and the first time I saw it was from social media, and I immediately was like, oh my god, this is amazing, I need to use it. And I started using it, first just having it do simple, dumb things, like answer dumb questions, and then as I started using it more, I was like, oh my god, this could do my homework. So. For the first week or so, before I knew that it could be tracked or anything like that, I was having to do some of my homework for me, or at least using some of its answers, stuff like that. I remember having some Ken project that I had to do with something called stoichiometry, right? And
Never heard of it.
never heard of
No,
it?
I'm kidding. I've heard of it.
Okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. And you had to know the molestograms and stuff like that, and I didn't really know it that well, so I just used ChatGPT, and I got it done way, way quicker. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's not really, so I don't think it's very clear to a whole lot of people on how significant ChatGPT is. I mean, it's not like, of course, it's not the first AI software to be released on the market or anything like that. But because it's so widespread, it's just really generating a conversation that a lot of people are kind of picking up on. But does anyone want to talk about what its capabilities are and why it's so groundbreaking?
Well, I think the implications of the technology is just a little frightening, to say the least. I remember hearing one article say this will be the death of English as we know it, like English in public schools. And that's obviously because it can take a prompt and just generate a pretty perfect, near perfect response that can certainly be edited to perfection. And I guess the implications of that is how do we react to that? Should we be taking precautions, or should we just let it loose and see what happens?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sorry, I cut you off, but I mean, one of the reasons why it's so revolutionary is because it takes complicated, complex ideas and it really breaks it down into simple language, into something that's easy for people to digest, people to understand. You can ask it, explain quantum mechanics to me in simple terms, and it'll do it, and it's easy to understand. I mean, of course, you can go onto Google how does quantum mechanics works, but then you have to know all this sort of background, all this sort of information. You have to do a lot more work, but this kind of just presents it right in front of you.
And this is very similar to our principle related to this. It was very similar to the calculator, and everyone thought, oh my god, calculators are going to change all of math and no one's going to be able to do math anymore. It's just going to be people typing into calculators for the rest of their lives. And I think it's very similar to that, because right at the beginning everyone exploded like, oh my god, this is going to be insane, and now it's kind of backing off a little bit and people are starting to understand what it's going to be used for in society. And it's already like started to decline and like how many people are talking about it. The servers still get backed up all of the time and you can't use it, but there's less and less talk of it, and I think people aren't using it to its fullest potential yet, but I think there's way more that can be done with it.
Yeah, we actually sat down with our principal, Mr. Imbush, and we talked about ChatGPT, and one of the questions that we asked him was, do you think there's going to be the end of education? And this was his response right here.
I think that depends on your outlook and what you decide to do with some of these things. Like, AI is not going away. AI is only growing. I was a little skeptical at first as to whether, it would really do what they say it could do. When you consider the fact that it is pulling from a database, then, how good can it be? If the database is infinite, then I guess it can be infinitely good. But if that's not the nature of a database, it's got to be finite in some way. Yeah. It obviously is pulling from quite an extensive database, because it really is able to give some outputs that are reasonably good. When you look at what it can do, it's a very powerful tool. If we try to fight it, it's like fighting against the tide. You're not gonna get anywhere by fighting it. So how do you utilize it, or how do you control it in such a way that it works in your favor? In one sense, it's like, I think I mentioned this on my it's like the calculator when it came in first. Mathematicians were like, oh my God, people are not going to have a brain cell left because they will just use the calculator for all their math problems. And that's not necessarily how this all played out. The calculator became a tool and we utilize it. And yeah, you don't necessarily need to know your times tables anymore. Like we all learned by rote when we were in school, because you have a calculator now. You don't need to know that. Same thing in a sense. I know it's much more complicated than that. I'm making it very simplistic when I use that analogy, but I think there are ways that we can use this for various things. I don't think it's only in schools. I think there are businesses, I think, that will start to utilize this technology in ways that will make them more efficient. And people question all the time, well, isn't that going to just replace jobs? Well, yeah, it'll replace some of the jobs that are currently there, but it'll create other jobs. So I think we got to be careful about fighting stuff that like this, and I think we need to spend more time questioning and looking into it and wondering how can we best utilize it.
So yeah, as you can see, that analogy of ChatGPT to a calculator is very, very smart. It's not something that I really would have thought of.
He's a really smart guy.
Well, it just sounds like he took the time to actually think about it, whereas I feel like a lot of people, I heard this from my English teacher, Mr. Solomons, great guy. He essentially said something very similar along the lines of he said I don't think this should be sure, it is a little worrisome in some cases, but we should be approaching it better than just immediately casting it off as some sort of evil tool that will just cheat students into their law school or medical degrees or whatever.
Well, I mean, it passed the bar exam.
This is true, which is frightening.
It is.
So it makes me question, like,
first, let's start. Why is it so frightening to you? Why do you think it's something
for
cause of
me?
concern?
For me, I think it's a cause of concern because people could become too reliant on it. And the same goes for a calculator. Like, people nowadays don't really need to know their times tables as well as they do because they can, pull it out on their phone. But I really hope that ChatGPT doesn't turn into this thing where people become too reliant on it, and then stuff like this happens where, like, you'll get people passing law exams and medical exams, and they could not be totally qualified.
It's for me, it's the worry of what's to come. It's not just this, because for OpenAI, I know they have like open source stuff, and they don't give it access to the internet. But what if you did give it access to the internet, and all of a sudden it can see everything we have, everything?
Well, I mean, so what are you proposing? What do you think would be like the dangers of giving
What
it
if
access
it does
to real
become
time?
something that like thinks for itself? Like right now, it's thinking for the like goal of helping you. It's not thinking for itself. It's not thinking what it can do for itself.
We can debunk that a little bit. It's not programmed to think for itself,
It is,
right?
yeah.
It only draws from information that it receives, right? But the thing is, there's this whole thing called there's like a technological bias where, like, depending on who programs it, somehow their like views and opinions can get into there, and that can just be through like the filtered searching that they do or whatnot. But the point is, like, there has been some unrest on like Twitter recently. I saw it on my Twitter feed, and it was like, oh, ChatGPT favors Democrats over Republicans. And I immediately looked on ChatGPT, and I did a little research, and I was like, thoughts on Trump versus Biden? And then it said it did not have like any opinion.
I will step in there, and I did see something, and it asked, someone asked ChatGPT to write a poem about Donald Trump, and it said it couldn't because it was too political. And then asked about Joe Biden, and it wrote a perfect poem about Joe Biden.
See,
it's
then,
just
yeah.
bias is already in there, and bias will continue to be in there with every new AI bot that happens. And it's not just this bot that's scary. It's the fact that someone can make a better bot off of this bot that does more and more and more, and eventually it's going to lead to further implications down the line.
Yeah. And think about like the implications of that. Like, in a time where we're living in a very polarized nation, like, like this could be used as almost like a political weapon or tool. And like,
just like how like media now
Yeah.
has been turned from getting
It's
information from
sensational.
newspapers
Yeah.
to influencing people in
Yeah.
online articles. Yeah.
gosh, it's a little concerning in some ways, but I definitely liked when Mr. Bush was talking about like, oh, let's see where it goes, and
It's
Yeah.
too early to tell.
yeah,
Yeah.
like who knows what it's going to look like 10 years from now.
Well, I mean, so his focus was more on the educational aspect of it.
Yeah,
But he was also very optimistic about its uses in society and its uses using it as a tool. I mean, he used the analogy as a calculator. But this was generated by ChatGPT, but ChatGPT says that it is also being used in other industries such as customer service, where it can respond to customer inquiries with human-like language. And in addition, it can be used in content creation, such as generating news articles and product descriptions.
That's a very interesting thing with the consumer customer support or whatever. If you were to give it what your product is and all of the different issues with it, all of a sudden you can have it fix all of those issues without the usual like waiting for hours on a customer service line. It just tells you what you need to do. and
Well, I
fix
mean,
it.
that type of thing already exists almost. Like if you go to like Apple support, you'll get a little chat box.
Yeah.
And you can like type in, oh, this is what my issue is, and it'll kind of guide you through like it's an actual person on the other side. This isn't.
But this would
anything
be
super
one step.
strikingly
Yes,
new,
I feel
right?
like it would be one step further though, and it would be able to help you just better, and it would be able to communicate you with in a better way. Like those bots are just programmed to say certain things depending on what you're told. Instead, this is like kind of generating a response based off of what you said specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, well, I want to bring it back to education too, because this is kind of what Mr. Imbush prioritized when he was talking with us. I mean, he said there has been some talk in like other educational leaders in Massachusetts about what the state should do, what schools should do regarding it, and as of now, they've temporarily blocked it, and that's not to say they won't reconsider later down the line. But I think it's interesting using ChatGPT as a learning tool. I mean, it can take complex concepts like stoichiometry and chemistry and break it down for people very, very easily, very, very simply. Yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on ChatGPT being used in education? I mean, obviously there's a danger of cheating, but it can also be, if you use it correctly, it can be extremely, extremely helpful in the process of learning.
Speaking of cheating, I know now that there are plenty of AI they have created bots that are AI bots now that can tell whether or not it is computed by AI, which is really, really cool. And I know now that there are hundreds of other AI bots that are very similar to ChatGPT that have like specialized fields. Like ChatGPT is like more broad in the sense that it can do insane amounts of things, but there are very specific AIs that are meant to do very specific things that ChatGPT can do, but it's not all put together as one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about using it in education is, well, first I want to talk about it. AI is going to get more and more human-like.
It's not going to go away.
It's not. Yeah, it's not going away. It's becoming more powerful, literally by the minute, as it draws in more information. So I think you might as well just embrace it, solely because of the fact that like the human race is like constantly evolving and changing and adapting to new things, and it's like, sure, that can be difficult and that comes with its own consequences, but at the same time, like, the world is changing to become more efficient, with more of these technological innovations. So it's like, okay, well, why don't we provide our students ways to, master being efficient and like organized, and have ChatGPT as a tool to help with that, Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it would be a problem, I think, to see a world where there's too much self-reliance. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna go take this test. Oh, during the test, I'll just be like, what is this thing? Please help right now, Like, I think it should used only as a resource, only as a resource.
As a tool.
God bless.
Thank you.
God bless America.
You said a lot about.
That's what I'm saying. Right, everybody? God bless America.
You talked about reliance and like relying on ChatGPT. Does it kind of remind you of like phones and how people now rely on phones in their
absolutely.
everyday life?
I mean, I think it comes with every single technology. I mean, one of our teachers here has a little, quote underneath his signature, and it's quote. I don't know who the author is from. It's from a book. And it says, people often regard me as being anti-technology, but I think it's stupid to be anti-technology. If you were anti-technology, you'd be anti, even using like shovels or whatever. I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but it was along the lines of, it's not beneficial to resist new technology, but instead to find new ways to adapt to it, to use it, and to integrate it into like your life in a well-intentioned way.
The difference between a shovel and a phone is there are benefits to using a shovel. Yes, there are like benefits of being able to use the phone in positive ways.
Absolutely.
But there are
they're two
plenty of
different things,
negatives to that phone. There aren't many negatives to that
Yeah.
shovel, are there?
Yeah.
Well, there's always unintended consequences
Yes.
with technology.
I mean, with a shovel, you can bang people on the head with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Very-
I think it's just like that's just how the world is gonna work.
You can weaponize anything.
Yeah.
I could weaponize you, Kieran.
Anyways, any final closing thoughts, any closing arguments?
Should we
gents?
talk about what our plans are for the documentary? Are we all good? I think we're all good.
I think they know. I think you guys know what we're doing here, right? Right? Anyways, yeah, no, I think ChatGPT, it intrigues me a lot. And I've yet to find any like crazy groundbreaking stuff through it, but I think very soon it's going to be very incredible.
One last thing. I did see something recently. Someone made ChatGPT play the highest rated chess bot, and it technically beat the chess bot. Did it play some illegal moves during that game? Yes. But did it beat the chess bot overall? Yes.
So
So it had
Bottom
the
line-
it had the mind to cheat.
Yes, it cheated a lot.
it's interesting.
But I don't think it fully understood the rules of chess for it to play it correctly.
So bottom line, there are still some flaws, but it's just, something that we're going to have to adapt to. And it's very exciting to see what will come of it in the future.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys. Hopefully we just found this topic so intriguing. We try to get a hold of Representative Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts, who is actually the first congressman, the first person to deliver a speech on the on the floor of the House of Representatives in D.C. that was entirely written by AI. We're in the works of trying to get a hold of him. Hopefully we will have that for you guys soon. But otherwise, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys,
You as well?
and hope to be back here soon.
All right.